Hey guys, what's going on? This is your boy Christian Israel, and you are tuning in to the New Creation Capital podcast, a place where we discuss what happens in the world today, where we talk and focus on stories and current events, what's going on in the stock market and digital assets. Of course, this is a new you, a new future, and a new creation. Welcome, everybody. Today is April 9th, and we are just finishing out the middle of our day, and today's story is fire. We are talking about the Digital Yuan in China, how they're moving forward, and the question is, can the U.S. afford to move past or move slower than China is currently doing with the digital yuan, okay? So we're going to kind of focus on the Chinese digital yuan today and stories. And of course, you guys are listening to the podcast, either Audible on YouTube right now, but as always, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, and of course the Anchor platform. As always, I tell you guys you can go to the PBoC website and check out a place where you can find our audio and our visual right there on a crypto-based publishing website, okay? Blog. Yesterday's episode 17 was, are you willing to be tracked everywhere you go? And is it too late? Let me know what you guys thought about that video, as well as the one before that are the banks, the Big Short Part 2. Thank you guys so much. It's pretty awesome for you guys that have hitting us up on our Twitter at New Creation Cap. Please, if you don't follow us already, follow along. If you're already not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure to hit the little subscribe button. And as they say, the social media thing, click the bell so you can get all the updates. You can see everything on. Not getting a lot of views right now because we are brand new, but we're in this for the long run. We are hodling on our podcast. So thank you guys to the subscribers that we got, to the people who are starting to follow along. Really appreciate you guys. And like I said, this is the New Creation Capital podcast. So let's jump into the news before we jump into the story. And of course, you guys already know what the number one story is right now that we're seeing in America, and that is the record 16.8 million have sought U.S. jobless aid since the virus. This is today, April 9th, by the Associated Press. Christopher Rogaber is the one who wrote it. This is from Yahoo News. So I just want to talk about that. No need to go into details. I'm sure you've seen it by now. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I just want to say that this is for all of you guys that are out there. I hope you guys are doing okay. It is getting worse and worse and worse, and we still got at least 30 days left. So I hope you guys are being safe and doing what you can, and I guess surviving right now, right? I know this is just an investment channel, and some people don't even have money to invest. I don't even know if people are getting their stimulus checks yet, but 16.8 million. That is combined more than we've ever had. That's almost combined with more than we ever had total, I think, in the last 30 years or something like that. So that's enough for that story. All right, let's move on to a bank story here. And it's Dylan. Now, that was the individual. Here's the small business loans. JPMorgan temporarily halts small business loans outside of federal scheme. So the biggest U.S. bank only accepts applicants for $350 billion payback protection program. So it says here, JPMorgan Chase has temporarily stopped accepting applications for small business loans outside the government's Paycheck Protection Program, the bank told Financial Times on Wednesday. This is a Financial Times article that was written yesterday by Laura Noonan and Eric Plott. And it says Chase has been inundated with more than 375,000 requests for $40 billion of loans under the $350 billion Small Business Rescue Scheme. A higher number of applications than any other bank. Its consumer head, Gordon Smith, told President Donald Trump on Tuesday. A Chase spokeswoman said the bank was now devoting all its small business underwriting resources to process this application and had temporarily suspended taking other applications from small businesses. The bank was continuing to process non-PPP applications already in train, she said, and would revisit the issue for new applications next week. So you got Bank of America being overwhelmed, Wells Fargo saying they can't really do it. Now JP Morgan is temporarily halting any other loans outside of the small businesses. So I just want to talk about that. Put that out there. Yeah, let me know, by the way, on these past couple stories. Are you a person who has filed for unemployment recently, or are you working? I know a friend of mine is working for UPS right now. He's considered an essential business. He's able to work. However, like I said, my parents aren't really working. And there's some other people out there, like the girlfriend's a school teacher, and she is working from home via Zoom. And we could talk about the Chinese hacking the Zoom thing, but we won't go into that. So some people are working. Some people have managed to work from home. Some people aren't working at all. Who are you? And as a small business, have you applied for a loan yet? And have you gotten an exception? Like we talked about Bank of America denying everybody unless you were in credit, unless you were already in some type of debt with them. So let me know what you guys are doing. Hit me up in the comments. Leave us a message and let me know. Now let's move on to the story of the day. And nope, not the story of the day yet. Sorry, I got one more for you. This popped up by Helen Parts. This is on Cointelegraph.com, okay? And it is former backed CEO to sell all holdings after insider trading accusations. Now, of course, this is talking about Kelly Loeffler, the representative out of Georgia. She used to be the former CEO of Bakkt, and she's now liquidating her holdings with Bakkt with her husband. And she says, I'm doing it because the issue isn't worth the distraction. I mean, you already kind of did what you did. Innocent until proven guilty. It already looks like you did what you did. So what's the distraction? Why are you really getting rid of your Bitcoin? I just want to say, what's the deep there? Is she literally doing insider trading again right now? Does she see something else going? Does she see something else coming? So she's dropping Bitcoin and going for something else. That can't be tracked. By the way, those of you who do not know, Bank of America has initially announced that they're working with Ripple. JPMorgan has unofficially announced that they're working with Ripple through their holdings through real-time payments. So that's been announced everywhere else. No need to talk about that because today we're talking about China and the digital yuan. And so the title of this article that we found on Fortune was from the 7th by Michael J. Casey on Fortune.com. And it is titled, Why the U.S. Shouldn't Let China Dominate the Digital Currency Race. So China is trying to dominate it, but what are we really going to do here? So let's dive on into this article. It says here, eventually, when the coronavirus crisis ends, a virtual question will hang over the world financial system. What comes next? I think we're all thinking about what is next, right? As with the 2008 financial crisis, a domino effect will expose flaws in the system. As panicked markets promote central banks to deliver unprecedented monetary stimulus, a vicious cycle of competing currency depreciations will ensue, benefiting some economic exporters and hurting others. So when countries emerge from their COVID-19 lockdowns, desperate to revive local industries, expect severe strains on trade relations to arise. We already saw some tensions between trade already right before all this went down. So what are we going to do about dollars and moving forward, right? So it continues here. In this increasing multipolar financial system, the digitalization of currency will be perhaps the most important factor in an economy's success. As of now, China is winning the digital currency battle by a long shot. And if the U.S. doesn't catch up soon, it's going to lose the war. Are we really at war for digital currency with China, guys? What do you think? I mean, there's China and there's the U.S. What's going on? Why isn't anybody else being mentioned? It's a good question, isn't it? Anyway, it goes on to say here. Many Americans got their first exposure to the idea of sovereign digital currency when congressional lawmakers surprisingly included a digital dollar solution for distributing federal handouts and initial viruses of the COVID-19 support legislation. But significant progress in the field has occurred well before then. Of course, we know they've been working on it before. Things just don't pop up in a dollar. You never let a crisis go to waste. The IMF has been working on this forever. But let's see what the article continues to say. Digital currency researchers at more than 50 central banks, as well as numerous decentralized and corporate cryptocurrency projects, are competing to define a new era of programmable money. Programmable money? That's an interesting way to say that. The Federal Reserve is starting far back in that field. Sitting in pole position is the People's Bank of China. PBoC is what you'll see. People's Bank of China, which has been working on digital currency for over 5 years. We know we've been working on that much longer. And so have they. But this is what public knowledge is. I should say non-digging public knowledge, mainstream media public knowledge. The transformative power of central managed Chinese digital currency, officially dubbed the Digital Currency Electronic Payment, DCEP, stems from a key design feature it has in common with Bitcoin, a decentralized cryptocurrency which it otherwise shares little. Like Bitcoin, and along with other cryptocurrencies and stablecoins such as Facebook's Libra, DCEP is a digital bearer instrument. Now, here's my issue with this thing. Why are they talking about Facebook's Libra? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Silence on that. Anyway, as with an exchange of banknotes, the most common physical bearer instrument, both parties to a digital transaction recognize final settlement as soon as possession changes. With all other cashless payments, whether by card, wire, check, or digital apps such as Venmo, the deal isn't fully settled, meaning it could still be reversed until their banks have recorded, reconciled, and settled their respective debts. This is why digital currencies are so revolutionary. In ending banks' centuries-long intermediating role in our monetary system and allowing direct peer-to-peer exchange, they can imbue money with the power of software. Because there's no longer a mediator interrupting the communication between them, the payer's computer can program a digital currency to directly convey if X, then Y commands to the payee. So they go on to talk about more. This is for people apparently who don't know anything about cryptocurrency in general. So, by the way, this is interesting. When a ship fertilizes to the farm, all is done with minimal to no human supervision. Cool. All right. In time, Beijing could offer DCEP-based direct machine-to-machine payments, along with its 60-plus country Belt and Road Initiative. Or it could entice allied African governments to renminbiize their monetary systems by digitally pegging the value of their domestic currencies to the DCEP. Again, the DCEP is the Digital Currency Electronic Payment. This is all about making those payments. And for non-Chinese businesses unwilling to accept a currency from a nation whose courts they don't trust, their own country moves towards programmable currencies, point to a low-risk, dollarless workaround in the future. A foreign importer and a Chinese exporter could mutually instruct computers in a blockchain network to place a renminbi denominated payment into a kind of digital lockbox that neither party can open. If the goods are confirmed delivered, the funds would be released to the exporter. If not, they'd be returned to the importer at the original exchange rate. This decentralized escrow system could let foreign businesses strike trade deals without requiring dollars to hedge their exchange risk. That sounds to me like interoperability. That sounds like intermittent cross-border payments on a distributed ledger technology. Just saying. Sounds like they're going to use somebody. Is there a tech company right now that works with banks, a fintech company that works with banks to focus on those kind of things? Well, let's see what the negative effects are. A China victory in the digital currency race would have multiple negative effects for the U.S. and Western capitalism in general. If foreign businesses can bypass America's gatekeeping banks, Washington will lose its unique power to impose sanctions on other countries. Also, if they no longer face exchange rate risks, foreign central banks would need to backstop their currencies with dollar reserves. The result, drop in demand for U.S. government bonds will result in higher interest rates not only for the federal government, but for business loans, mortgages, credit cards, and every other form of U.S. borrowing. So this is kind of the point. It's not so much, and this is what the article is arguing, right? They are saying if Chinese does the digital dollar first, then the U.S. dollar is over with, the dominance. And I think the dominance is already over. So I'm not really sure what they're trying to point out here is besides that. Anybody who's done some digging knows that the DXY is gone. It's done. Yeah, it's bounced back up, sitting at like 99 cents right now, 99 cents on the dollar or $1 on the dollar for value here in America. But this is just talking about Chinese, how they're going to move their money. It has nothing to really do with the U.S. What has to do with the U.S. is the fact that all the economy is currently crashing. All of the economies in the world are currently going down the drain. And that's what we really need to talk about, because the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar, which we've talked about, is what allows them to sanction other countries, is the fact that the dollar is the world currency right now. The dollar is no longer going to be the world currency, probably by the end of next year, if not sooner, because that's why we're printing. That's why we have inflation. The more we print, the more it's over with. So what is really, and this is why we talk about in episode 16, are the banks the next big short? And what that means is that the money is gone. The money, as far as the U.S. dollar, is not gone. But the money, as far as the U.S. dollar as a world currency, is gone. We are going back to the gold standard. We are. The young lady that Trump just hired, she backs the gold standard. I cannot remember her name, but she backs the gold standard. She wants to bring it back, and so does the rest of the world. They want to get off the U.S. dollar as the world standard. One, because we abuse it. We don't use it. We abuse it. And it's pretty much, what is the point, and why do we need cash anymore? Why do we need, if we were to start today, right now, and we didn't have cash, would you create a cash system? Would the system exist right now today if we could do it different? No. Now we have each country creating their own digital currency that's going to move within the country, within the states, and then there is one fintech company, could be multiple, that help move it, interoperability across intermittent cross-border payments, moving from country to country, so we can do world business, so we can have a global society. And it's not so much a global currency, it's more of a global reserve currency. There's a difference. So my on-demand liquidity will be accepted because I can move my digital yuan to the US dollar, to the US dollar to the Mexican peso, from the Mexican peso to the Filipino peso, to the European Union digital dollar. That's all done easily, and there's one person backing it, which we know the IMF can back them now. Every country has gold, and who provides the credit? The IMF, using XRP. Yeah, I just connected all that for you. So, that's pretty much what the rest of the article says. Let me know what you guys think about this article. We're going to dive in and go to the next topic on this, okay? And this is, just a quote here, it's from Raja Mitra of fxstreet.com, and he's just talking about the People's Bank of China has spoken about its commitment towards creating a digital version of the yuan. Research says that the current pandemic could encourage the adoption of digital payments across the world. So China, again, we talked about it with surveillance yesterday. China is first in everything, digitally. Everything first when it comes to tech. Everything that comes first to public tech. Let me talk about that. Because our government definitely has been doing cell phones since the 60s. But public tech, pushing it into the public, China is always first. They have been for the longest time. That's why everything we make digitally, I mean, how much stuff is made in America anymore? Anyway, there's a quote here that says, the People's Bank of China will undoubtedly further its research and development of the national digital currency with its enhanced top-down design. This notice is a summary of the 2020 National Currency Gold and Silver Security Work Video and Telephone Conference, which was convened by the Yifan Fan, the central bank's vice governor. During this meeting, the bank's top priorities for the upcoming year were announced. So they have basically done this. They want to accelerate the process. So I wanted to talk about this article, which leads me into the next article, which talks about Chinese business not ever going back to what it was like before. But before we get into that article, I'm going to go a little bit deeper dive into China undoubtedly pursuing the digital yuan, okay, because that's what their central bank says. And this is the article that dives deeper into it. It's by CoinDesk.com, okay, and it's written by David Fan. And it says here, let's see, something we already talked about. The People's Bank will undoubtedly further, right, we read this, in research and development of its national digital currency and enhanced top-down design. Okay, that was on April 1st, they said that. And we see here, at the 2018 meeting, the bank said it would pursue the project at a steady pace. Last year, it would accelerate the process with a closer look at trends in cryptocurrency space at home and abroad, and more strict supervision over online financing in 2019. While the initiative is a few years old, it may have added impetus from coronavirus-related concerns about physical banknotes. At a February 15 press conference, the central bank said it would disinfect and store cash for 7 to 14 days before it takes it in and put 600 billion new Yuan cash in circulation. I don't know if they've actually gone in circulation, but I know they were burning their cash. And now the U.S. has actually begun to do this 7 to 14 days right there. Any cash that comes from anywhere overseas, they're quarantining the cash. Now, if you're quarantining the cash, what is the point? Just burn it because you're printing $6 trillion anyway. $1 million a minute. That makes no sense to me. It continues to say here, researchers at the Bank of International Settlements, which you hear the BIS, which works in you've heard Ripple talk about it, recently said the coronavirus pandemic could encourage digital payment adoption and inspire more talks about digital currencies among central banks across the world. Along with the push of DCEP, the People's Bank of China aims to reform the system to issue and withdraw cash and other issues to better manage cash circulation, according to the notice from the latest meeting. Other priorities on the bank's agenda include strengthening the crackdown on counterfeit money and testing programs to manage large quantities of cash. Again, they're still trying to manage and crack down on cash. They're just going to get rid of it. That's all I'm saying. Why would, if you're a government and you can absolutely 100% just get rid of cash, why even worry about hunting that down? Say, hey, no more. All I got to do is flip a switch and say we will no longer accept cash. Put all your cash in the bank. Any cash-to-cash transactions we don't accept anymore. All that takes is a 1 day. Put your money in the bank, period, because we're only going to do digital now. We're taking it out of circulation. The gold standard happened pretty quickly, didn't it? Hey, we're off the gold standard. Done. I think in America, right, in the early 1900s, when it was time to move to the paper system, they basically said it would be illegal to hold gold. They said, if you try to pay with gold, we're going to just take it from you. So, yeah, they don't want you hoarding cash right now. Not even China. And now let's go back to this article that I was talking about for the Chinese businesses, written by CNBC on April 2nd. I really only want to talk about one part of this article, and it is, let's see, here it is. It's halfway down, and this is what I highlighted right here, okay? And I want to just read this part to you. It says, analysts from Fitch Ratings published Monday pointed out that over the last 2 years, there has been a significant uptick in the total of bond defaults in China. That has also hit state-owned enterprises once thought to always benefit from government support. Defaults on bonds issued in China by privately owned enterprises is still far greater than that of state-owned enterprises, despite the latter accounting for 89% of onshore insurance during the 2-year period, the Finch report said. If the economic situation continues to deteriorate, we're going to see players in overcapacity are going to face a more challenging environment, and their capability to receive support from their parent for a recovery is going to be weaker. Jenny Wang, director of China Corporate Research FinTech Writing, said in a phone interview Tuesday. I just wanted to point out here that over the last 2 years, banks are starting to default. It's not just happening. It's been going on. So 2 years ago, stock was fine. Economy on the outside was fine. There was no COVID-19. So, yeah, a little dangerous there. Banks are faulting, and China's moving towards a digital yuan, a digital currency. I just want to point those two things out, guys. There's a reason they're moving towards it. They got to save these banks. Now, let's go into the details of something I found on Financial Times on FT.com, and it's titled, Patents revealed extent of China's digital currency plans. So these are patents that are revealed. And it was pretty important. This is written by Hannah Murphy and Yuan Yang. Okay. Now this is from February 12th, 2020. Again, this is not yesterday. This is a couple months ago. And it says here, the People's Bank of China has filed more than 80 patents related to secretive plans to launch a digital currency, according to new research that shows the extent of Beijing's ambition to digitize the renminbi. I cannot pronounce that. Anyway, the patents seen and verified by Financial Times include proposals related to the insurance and supply of a central bank digital currency, a system for interbank settlements that uses the currency, and the integration of digital currency wallets into existing retail banks. Boom, boom, boom. That's what it is. Digital currency, bank to bank, digital wallets, and a way to move them between the banks in the country. Not worldwide, in the country, just like our digital dollar. They're doing exactly what we talk about here. That's literally the same exact language used in the COVID-19 stimulus bill or the digital dollar stimulus bill. Right there. The patents seen and verified by Financial Times include proposals related to the insurance and supply of a central bank digital currency, a system for interbank settlements that use the currency, and the integration of digital currency wallets in existing retail banks. I'm just going to point that out. I'll tweet this out later, but just letting you know that right there is pretty big. They're already moving it. They're trying to get it, and they're filing patents for it, okay? And it says here, one more part. The theme is that China has made massive investments and are taking this very seriously, said Pirani Boring, president of the chamber. That is drastically different from the United States approach, and this highlights just that. Is it because the patents? I don't know. And it continues to say, several of the 84 patents reviewed by the Financial Times indicate that China may plan to algorithmically adjust the supply of a central bank digital currency based on certain triggers, such as loan interest. Some outline mechanisms to allow customers to make deposits with their existing banks and exchange that for digital currency, while interbank settlement and clearing can potentially be sped up behind the scenes. Isn't that what I just said? That's literally what I just said. They're going to tell you to put your cash in there and we're going to get you digital currency. That's literally what I just said. Wow. Okay, well, there you go. Other patents are focused on building digital currency chip cards or digital currency wallets that banking customers could potentially use, which could be linked directly to their bank accounts. Virtually all of these patent applications relate to integrative system of digital currency into the existing banking infrastructure, said Mark Kaufman, a partner and patent attorney at Rimmen Law who worked on the chamber for the project. While some of the patents mention that guarantee peer-to-peer privacy, there's no mechanisms to prevent Chinese central banking from having full oversight of users' transactions, Ms. Boring said. There you go. Last month, the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, set up a group to assess potential cases for interoperable central bank digital currencies, which included the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, and the European Central Bank. Bang, 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 bang. There's interoperability again. Who does that? XRP. Anyway, there's also non-government entities in the space. In the U.S., Christopher G., the former head of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, recently launched a non-private think tank, the Digital Dollar Foundation, to focus on how to create a digital dollar. We know about that already. Let's see. Tim Morrison, a senior fellow at Hudson Institute and the former deputy assistant to Donald Trump for National Security, warned that the patents speak of China's ability to effectively impose a system on the rest of the world as the country pursued its Belt and Road Initiative. It doesn't end the dollar overnight, but you're beginning to build an alternative. There it is. What we just talked about, an alternative to the actual U.S. dollar. It's not just China's yuan. It's going to be the whole world having their own digital currency. Kiss it goodbye. Period. Let's see here. With the majority of the patents are attributed to the PBoC's digital currency, People's Bank of China's Digital Currency Research Institute, some are attributed to state-owned corporations, subsidiaries of the Chinese central government. Of course, the Chinese government is going to be behind it. That's what they do. So in this one, they talk about, where is it at? Here we go. Where it says, last month, the Bank of International Settlements set up a group to assess potential cases for interoperability central bank digital currencies, which included the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, and the European Central Bank. So I want to dive more into that. And this talks about, where is it at here? Let's see. It's this one. Okay. On Forbes.com, an article written on April 3rd, 2020 by Billy Bombra is called "Forget the Stimulus Bill's Digital Dollar, the Digital Euro is Coming," which we just talked about right here, right? And it says here, earlier this week, the Banque de France launched an experimental program to test the integration of the digital euro in settlement processes, designed to measure both potential decentralization technologies and broader uses of central bank digital currencies. A host of market infrastructure projects are underway, especially in Europe, aimed at helping financial markets function more effectively and more smoothly. The Banque de France wrote in a statement laying out its digital euro testing plans last month and inviting qualified institutions with the European Union to sign up by mid-May deadline with a proposal that covers one of the use cases it outlined. These projects are focused on the creation and circulation of digital tokens intended to replace cash or represent financial instruments. They form part of the underlying trend characterized by emergence of new forms of digital assets such as utility tokens, security tokens, and stablecoins, which are prompting financial authorities to consider the associated opportunities, risks, and challenges. The results of these experiments will be a key element of the Banque de France contribution to a broader project conducted by the Euro system on the potential implications of a central bank digital currency. The Banque de France said, adding, any decision to create a central bank digital currency is a matter of the Euro system, and the Banque de France did not engage in money creation, will not engage in money creation in the context of these experiments. So, of course, they're not creating money. They're just moving their cash to digitally. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is digitally, that's just what they're doing. They're moving it directly to that. So, one second. Oh. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. That is another phone ringing. All right, anyway. So that's pretty much what they're doing. It says here, the central bank also said that the trial is not designed to create a system to replace banknotes and coins, something central bank digital currency critics have previously warned. It's not designed to, but we know we're going to. We know we're moving there. We know it's going there. Anyway, it says, continues to say, back in December last year, in December of 2019, the European Central Bank, ECB, said it would create a digital currency if the private sector fails to do so. So the ECB is just going to do it on its own. Whew, that's intense. If industry efforts fall short of developing an innovative and efficient pan-European payment solution, the social need for it could potentially be met by issuing a central bank digital currency, the ECB wrote in a paper, adding it could guarantee access to a cheap and easy means of payment. Calls for the creation of a central bank digital currency have been growing louder over recent months. Spurred by, and here's the connection. Here's your connection right here. I'm going to try to highlight this. Boom. It says, calls for the creation of central bank digital currency have been growing louder over recent months, spurred on by social media giants. Facebook plans to launch a cryptocurrency sometime this year. Talking about Libra. I don't know why. Maybe there's some talk out there that they're actually going to move forward with it and make it work. I don't see it happening. They don't work with the regulators. They can't force it out there. I guess that would just go right along in another cryptocurrency market, and we'll see how it works. Hey, if it's going to make me money as a trader, I'll jump in, but I'm not going to hold it long. And China's imminent digital yuan project. Wow. This is not up to date. That's not where. Let's see here. I think that's pretty much it. Last year, the Bitcoin. Oh, that just talks about Bitcoin. Anyway, okay. So I think the last article, and I'll include this also in the People's Bank of China continues CBDC talks. That's just another one, and this is Cointelegraph. We already touched on all that stuff. So, what do you guys think? Do you think China's yuan is, people said it was Facebook's Libra that was trying to push and light a fire. Do you think it's China's yuan? I don't know. I think I think everyone's been working together behind the scenes, and I honestly think it's a fake war. A fake digital war. That's just my opinion. Because the IMF has overhead everybody. China's banks are defaulting. Europeans' banks are defaulting. And they're all talking about doing it at the same time. But don't you think all these banks have to work together? In the end, do you really, really think all the governments are not involved with all the banks? This is where people get it twisted, I think. They think that the government and banks are separate. I think they all work together with technology, which is why you see someone like Brad Garlinghouse sitting in every single meeting with the BIS and the IMF and the ECU. I don't know, or ECB, right? Christine Lagarde, from the director of the IMF to the head of the European Central Banks. You just see all those. So let me know what you guys think about that. I'm just kind of trying to take it in because I'm not really sure I don't know. The more I read, I'm not really surprised. I mean, are you surprised? I guess, let me stop talking. Let me ask you guys. You can leave a message on the Anchor platform. If you guys want to partner with us, please partner with us. Just click on that button right there. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, and of course the Anchor platform. As always, you can hit us up on Twitter at New Creation Cap. You can find us on the PublishOX.com site, where you can find everything audio and visual. And if you're just a YouTube goer, you can go directly to our New Creation Capital podcast right there on YouTube and watch the visual. The first few episodes, we didn't do the crazy visuals. I just put a picture and spoke over it now. As you can see if you're watching it right now, that's how we do it. We actually do the screen record so you can see everything that we are doing. Okay, so besides that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. As always, I am going to read you a quick scripture, okay? And here's how it goes. It is from Psalm 94, verse 20 to 23, okay? Can a corrupt throne be allied with you? A throne that brings on misery by its decrees? The wicked band together against the righteousness and condemn the innocent to death. But the Lord has become my fortress, and my God, the rock in whom I take refuge. He will repay them for their sins and destroy them for their wickedness. The God, our Lord, will destroy them. So despite what you guys feel, maybe you see evil in the world, maybe you're not sure what's going on with the government or the banks and you think they're all out, God's got it. I always leave it with that. God is always in control. He is the same yesterday, today, and will always be. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's podcast. My name is Christian Israel. This is a place where we discuss what happens in the world today, where we talk about stories that focus on current events, the stock market, the digital asset. And as I always like to say, guys, buy low, sell high. This is a new you, a new future, and a new creation. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Until next time, guys, peace and love. Later.